So you are the teacher, you're the expert. If you understand your learners, then you know what to do. You take on an approach that is suited to the needs of the learners. So take note of the fact that we have been learning from learner characteristics. We've learned about learners that have needs. We've learned about learner autonomy. I think, have I talked about learner autonomy? I really hope I have. But basically, learner autonomy is making learners come to a point. I think I mentioned it here, is making them come to a point where they can have a measure of independence so that they can complete their tasks. If they have difficulties, they can ask for help. They can use dictionaries and any other resources. They can research on their own. It doesn't mean that they don't have a teacher, but you have taught them to be able to cope in your absence so that whether in the classroom or outside the classroom, they can complete their work. We've talked about equality of access. We've talked about learners, learning modalities, the preference that learners have. We've talked about learning multiple intelligence. We've talked about so many things, learner centeredness. We've talked about that also. We've talked about how how children learn. And we've talked about the role of um, the four domains in learning. The cognitive domain is what we like to focus on, but it's not the only domain that is important. There's a psychomotor, and we know that from learning modalities, some children love a total physical response in learning, in which case, if you bring in role plays and physical games in your classroom or outside the classroom, it stimulates learning. We've talked about the role of motivation in learning. All of these things are tied together, to bring efficient learners. All right, so I will now proceed to the next topic that we're going to do together, which is now focusing on the teacher themselves. We've talked about all the approaches that we can use for teaching and learning. We've talked about experiential learning, the role of reflection. So we've learned quite a bit, in our past sessions. But now we need to focus on the teacher themselves. And that's what we're going to do now.